Alrighty, good morning. Welcome to episode 159 of the show with me, your host, Michael Labs. We are here doing it again. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you stayed safe. I hope you did not go to any protest and act like a crazy person. Just kidding. I think the jokes are just about expired, but I hope everyone's doing well. It's MLK Day as I'm recording this. So happy MLK Day to everybody. His words, I think, will ring louder today than they've ever been presented before. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The time is always right to do what is right. A riot is the language of the unheard. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. January 15th, Atlanta, Georgia to April 4th, 1968, Memphis, Tennessee. Murdered at the age of 39 years old. Rest in peace to the great Martin Luther King Jr. Rest in peace to MLK. It's been a fascinating year, right? It's been an interesting year. My weekend was good. I had a good weekend. I had a conversation with somebody close to me, and it was an interesting conversation. It was a conversation about the landscape that we currently live in. In this podcast, I'm gonna try my hardest to share my thoughts about the divide that we are told that we're experiencing in society. I'm going to talk about matters that might be sensitive to some, but necessary to everyone. I'm going to go out on a limb on a few things. I'm going to hang myself out over the edge and see if I can get myself off the edge, because I think it is very important to challenge the mainstream points of views that we're given every day, whether it be from the enemies, Fox, CNN, whether it be from people that are in power, whether it be whatever you see on social media. Whatever it is, I just want to kind of sit down and I want to have a conversation, because we've had men like MLK walk this planet and change a whole generation of human beings and bring a whole generation of people together. And his successes do not go unnoticed. And I think for a gentleman like that, one day is very just not right. A gentleman like that should be he should be represented and he should be worshipped every day. He should be worshipped every day. So I was having this conversation with this person, and basically the gist of it started where this individual was sharing the idea that this world is more divided than ever, and that they were somewhere and noticed that somebody was wearing a mask in a very big car with an American flag on the mask, and immediately this person was placed into a bucket. This bucket was a political bucket. This bucket wasn't just any political bucket. This bucket was a Trump supporter. And this bucket has the ability to ruin someone's life. Basically what I'm trying to get at is I don't believe that the world is as divided as it is. I don't believe that the country is as divided as it is. I think the world is as divided as you allow it to be, and as much as you listen to the news cycles and you listen to people talk to you. I think that leads to a divided world. The world that we actually live in is not nearly as divided as we're told it is. I have conversations with people who are opposites from me in the way that the news media talks about it. I have hour-long conversations with individuals, 20, 30, 40, 45-minute conversations with individuals that are opposite of me, right? Of apparently the person I'm supposed to be. This narrative of Republicans versus Democrats has been built up to such a point where now it's stripped away the ability for individuals to look at it and be like, I don't know if that's actually true, because I don't believe that exists. I believe that the people at the most end of each side, most extreme ends of the right and the left, may be very opposite, but everyone else in the middle is very similar. Very similar. And we have issues in this country that we've always faced, but we've never had them recycled in our eyes in front of us every single day from the use of social media. Social media is what has divided America. The news channels has divided America. It's pinned people up against each other that would have never been pinned up against each other. And this is this is one of the reasons why I love doing this podcast so much. I can sit here and I'll pull it up right here. I can sit here as I'm doing my podcast, go to my Apple Podcast, pull up some of my ratings that I got from individuals. These are people that are international or that are national. These are not people who, probably share all the same beliefs that I do. These are not people who, would, if we had to sit down in conversation, we probably wouldn't believe in everything that was very similar, but we also we're Americans, and we do have a lot of similarities. We have more similarities than we do differences. And even where we do have differences, we still have the ability to be friends and be good to each other. And we don't have to place people in these. Once you place somebody in a category, what you're essentially doing is you're giving up on that individual. You're never allowing that individual to speak to you, which means you're never going to get their point of view. And the way that a division happens is where there's a refusal to accept another point of view. And when you box somebody in and you throw them out to the side and you take their category and you don't look at them anymore, what you've done without you even knowing it is you have cut off the viewpoint that you need to look at. So there's never going to be a solution. There's never going to be a solution. You need to keep people in your life that have different viewpoints as you. You just have to. You have to allow these people to surround you. Not people that are hateful, not people that are racist, sexist, homophobic, but people that have different viewpoints than you. It's okay to have a friend that voted for Donald Trump. And I say that, but people lose their mind. People lose their mind when I say that. 76 million votes this gentleman got. The 76 million votes. You're going to tell me all those people were racist? You're going to tell me all those people hate people that don't look like them? What if some of them were just military individuals, where Donald Trump heavily supported the military? It'd be like you being a doctor and your boss doesn't give you the right supplies to be a doctor. Yeah, you won't like them. But if a new chief of surgeon comes in and he buys everything for you, yeah, you're going to like the individual. What if you're a police officer that when things were going bad, he stood up for them? And that's why they like him. What if you're a corporation that had their taxes cut, therefore you're allowed to stay in business? Therefore you like him. There's a lot of what ifs and there's a lot of therefores, and you see not everybody there is a racist individual. This is from Devin the Heel Dude. Great podcast right here. Great talking voice that knows how to carry on. Nope, don't care. I do care, but Okay, here we go. Nice hearing another person that can talk about politics without going crazy. Good stuff. Um, let's see, y'all. There's a few here that talk about the politics things, which that's what I'm just kind of trying to point out. Great show on current events with a funny delivery. I really enjoyed listening to the podcast. I like how transparent they are because honestly, no one really has it all figured out. I love the calmness in his voice. Puts me in a very relaxing mood. Love the authenticity. And I think that's what people are asking for more than anything in this current climate we live in is we're looking for people who are authentic. We're looking for individuals who are speaking truth, but in a very, not a poetic manner, but in a very mothering hand manner, in a way that is it sounds caring, it's beautiful, it's non-judgmental. And I think the more and more that we feed into this idea that society is divided, we will continue to divide each other. We need to just communicate as human beings. We need to just have conversations. We need to talk about the way that we were all brought up, right? We need to talk about, yeah, you don't understand me because, I didn't really have a dad. I didn't really have a mom. I didn't really have the life that you had. So I can't understand the things that you want that you go through. And we need to talk about that. There are real things that happen in this country still that are sad. But we need to have open lines of communication. I don't call me what you want, but I'm one of those people that sit back and I think that we're not at the end of the ropes here. I don't think this country is falling apart at the seams. I don't think we are at all. I think we have a great number of mistakes that have been made. I think we have the cards are on the table. The cards are on the table. We know the mistakes that we currently have right now. And I think there's only going to be one way up. And I think that one way up is going to be started with people accepting other people's viewpoints. There's individuals that took over the Capitol. 200 of them stormed the Capitol? The other 44,800 were just protesting. You can hate them all you want. You can like them all you want. You can say this about them. And I've said things about them. Don't get me wrong. I'm aware of what I've said. And I still believe that there's 200 people who broke into the Capitol are domestic terrorists. I do believe that. Because it's federal property and they knew what they were doing. And that's not saying that it's worse in other places, because it is worse in other places. But in this country, that is out of the norm, and those are criminal acts. But those other people were just protesting. The same way that BLM was protesting. The same way that LGBTQA plus protest. The way that people protest, they're allowed to protest. They're allowed to be angry. They're allowed to have flags. They're allowed to do these things. And this is the double-edged sword with this country when it comes to freedom of speech, is that freedom of speech only exists until something that you don't believe in happens. MLK knew that freedom of speech was real, and he believed in it wholeheartedly. And he knew that the best way to solve any issues was through conversation. He believed in conversation. He believed in talking. He believed in grabbing people that you don't necessarily agree with and forcing conversations to happen. He believed in that. That's what he wanted, because he truly knew that was the best way to solve issues. And it is the best way to solve issues. The best way to solve issues is with an open dialogue. And I think we're getting there. And I think as time progresses and as we look back on everything that we've experienced this past year and a half of just the world that we're living in, I think a lot of progress has been made. And I think a lot of progress is going to continue to ripple into the world that we live in. And I think conversations are going to be had where they need to be had. And I think people are going to find comfort again. Yeah. I think people are going to find comfort again. And I'm here for it. I'm excited. I am. I'm excited for it. And I'm very happy that I've been able to do this podcast the entire time. I think that's very cool that I've been able to talk about everything, everything that's been going on. Kind of give like a play-by-play, a play-by-play personal opinion on all the events that have taken place. Everything. I mean, I've been since the George Floyd incident to, trying to think, to all the protesting, to everything. I've been able to sit down. I've been able to give my thoughts on it. But I do think things are going to work out. And I do think people are going to come together. I'm excited. I'm excited to experience it with everybody. I'm excited that people have taken the time out of their day to enjoy the ride through my voice, through my podcast, and I can't ask for anything more than that. And I promise you guys, the podcast is going to go in places where I've never imagined it this year. And it all starts with every one of you guys who listen. And I feel like I'm starting to have like this responsibility now to give my opinion on certain things. Because I know people actually listen to what I have to say, which is kind of crazy because I've never looked at myself as somebody who had an opinion that mattered. But everyone's opinion does matter, and I guess the more and more I do this podcast and the more people listen to it, the bigger and bigger of an audience it has, and with that audience, I guess, comes responsibility, and it's my job to, I guess, talk about it. So, but that's that. What else is going on? What else did I do this weekend? I worked. I picked up a shift, which was kind of cool. Cracked. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about this amazing documentary. I actually went ahead and watched it on my own. It's called Cracked Documentary. Cracked Documentary. Documentary on Netflix. No, not that. Cracked Up? No, just Cracked. Crack. There it is. Cocaine, Corruption, and Conspiracy. I want to see who it's by so I can tell you guys about it. Let me pull it up here on Netflix. I watched it by myself, which I like to do. And then I went ahead and rewatched it with Taylor. And it was, I want to see who it was by. Crack. Cocaine. Netflix. Why can't I find it? I just want to find a description of it. Oh, it's like a conspiracy thing. Okay, I can't find who the author of it is, but it goes over crack and how crack entered the United States, from starting with Ronald Reagan, or it talks about cocaine and then how cocaine was considered to be like a wealthy individual white drug, and how then certain dealers were able to cut the cost of the cocaine and bundle up the cocaine into a block, and that block, instead of snorting it, you just smoked it. And since you smoked it, you got a better high. It went to your brain a lot quicker, and it became crack. And since it was cheaper, you could sell it now in the inner city communities where a higher number of African Americans lived. Because when Reagan took office, one of his, and I could be speaking out of context, but it could just be a coincidence, which I obviously don't think it is, or I think it was one of those things that he just didn't realize what he was doing. But the unemployment In 1982 unemployment rate was 11%. 1981 to 1982 unemployment for blacks. African American unemployment rate 2019. What was the unemployment in 1982 and 12% respectively? Steep rises in 1980. What was the unemployment? Impact of full unemployment. Unemployment continued to rise. Find black individuals. Black and teenagers. Why can't I just find unemployment rates during the 8 post-war recession? I wish I could just find like a regular. Oh, maybe that was it. Blue collar workers, married, black, Hispanic, 1982. Unemployment rates by selected demographic character seasonally adjusted. Yes, so black individuals, their unemployment was 17.4 the first quarter, 18.6 the second quarter, 19.3 the third quarter, and 20.4% unemployment the fourth quarter. For white individuals, 7.7, 8.3, 8.8, 9.5. So don't know why it was like that. I didn't look into politics into that, but since there was, by the fourth quarter, there was literally 10.9, 11, basically 11% higher rate of unemployment for black individuals in 1982 compared to or for white individuals in 1982. There was nobody working, so they didn't really have any money. So the crack was available and it was cheap. And since they couldn't afford the cocaine, they chose a crack, and the crack led to cyclical unemployment. It led to a lot of fast money, and the documentary just breaks it down. Talks about the fast money that came in, and the weird partnership that the United States had with like it was during the time, it was like post, that's like post communism. Post World War II, so America has like this constant fear of communism. So in Nicaragua, the dictator was trying to take over the entire country, and there was this little group of militants. I think the something with C, and they were rising up against them, and the United States wanted to help them and wanted to supply them with gear, weapons, money, all this stuff to fight against the dictatorship. So the dictatorship doesn't become communist and take over Nicaragua. And I don't know if there was like relationships with Russia or China or whatever, and that the United States had fear over. I don't know exactly what it was, but I think a lot of it was just a fear of communism. And as they're starting this process of sending weapons there for these people to use to fight off the communist dictatorship party, the Congress in the United States eventually put a block to it. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So the United States is like, okay, thumbs up, cool, whatever, that's fine. So what they do to skirt around that is they go ahead and start dealing weapons to Iran. Let me just pull this up so I can fact check myself. Reagan, weapons to Iran. Reagan weapons. Okay, so after Iraq, was placed in effect in violation. Nope, don't care about that. After Iraq invaded Iran in September 1980, Iran desperately needed weapons and spare parts for its current weapons. After Ronald Reagan took office as president on January 20, 1981, he vowed to continue Carter's policy of blocking arms sales to Iran on the grounds that Iran supported terrorism. Oh, well, that doesn't help my cause. Did Reagan deal weapons to Iran in violation of the Bolin Agreement? Okay. That's exactly what it is. So there was a amendment called the Bolin Amendment, which, let's look up what that means. The Bolin Amendment is a term describing 3 U.S. legislative amendments between 1982 and 1984, all aimed at limiting U.S. government assistance to the Contra. Okay, so that's what it was. So Congress made the Bolin Amendment. The Bolin Amendment no longer allowed the U.S. from sending weapons and whatnot to the Contras, which are the people fighting against the communist or the dictatorship rising in Nicaragua. This was amended, and it took amendment between 1982 and 1984. Ronald Reagan, in violation of the Bolin Amendment, senior officials of the Reagan administration continued to secretly arm and train the Contras and provide arms to Iran, an operation they called the Enterprise. The Enterprise. The Enterprise. The Enterprise. That's not what I want. Mission. Is it American author and prominent various CIA. Conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy. Yeah, anyway, so that's what he was doing. He was sending weapons to Iran, breaking this amendment, and they were taking that money, the profit money, and then they were sending that money to the Contras. The Contras were then buying weapons from the United States, and so the weapons would come over to the United States. After they bought and sold the weapons, some of the runaway people who worked for the CIA or whatever, there's a movie on it. I think Tom Hanks did it. No, not Tom Hanks. The Scientologist guy. Who's the Scientologist guy? Scientologist followers. Forget his name. What's his name? The really big one. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise did a movie on it. I think it was called like America something. America Made. Yes, he did a 2017 comedy action movie where he talked about that. He talked about the CIA to provide a renaissance on the burgeoning communist threat in Central America, and Sue finds himself in charge of the biggest covert CIA operation in the U.S. in the history of the United States. So basically, drugs came back over to the United States, and as it came back to the United States, they started just feeding these poor neighborhoods in the United States, and then the crack epidemic took place. And a lot of the people that were upset about it was why did crack even come to the United States? Why was there even cocaine here? It's almost like, and towards the end of the documentary, they talk about this. It's almost like they knew what they were doing, but they just turned a blind eye to it. They just didn't care. They saw that American lives are dying, and then the weapons got pulled because people started protecting their turf because they started making a lot of money, so there was value in it. So then people started dying, and it's a great documentary. It's called Crack, and it really talks about just it talks about the inner city and what a lot of the issues that African Americans have with police stem because of this. The lack of generational wealth because of this. Bill Clinton made a law that was like 25 years to life if you got caught with like a certain amount of crack on you, which is the same thing as cocaine, but the amount of time that you got caught with cocaine was like no jail time pretty much. And it was like one of those laws that was like backhanded right for the African American community. You have Hillary Clinton on record calling them monsters, or calling them something. Hillary Clinton calls blacks monsters. Did Hillary call African youth? Yeah, she called them super predators. Joe Biden calls blacks a name. I forget. He said something too. Or yeah. Predators, yeah, okay. He warned of the predator. He called them predators on our streets. So it was a lot of like, it was the beginning, not the beginning. It was enforcing the systematic racism that puts African Americans in the position that they're in today. A lot of like the distrust with the government, distrust with the police officers, distrust with the people actually wanting to help them. Like it's a really good documentary. I think it's really eye-opening for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people should give it time to watch that series. I'm drinking a Bang energy drink, which is like a legal, slightly less addictive source of cocaine. Like this is like the cheapest of the not cheapest as in price, but like probably, I'm just guessing, I'm just going out on a limb here, which I don't think I'm going that far out on the limb. This is probably one of the lower quality energy drinks on the market. I don't know. Like if you just look at the Instagram page, you're like, that's how you guys market everything. like you guys are basically just like a Playboy Mansion for energy drinks. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast very soon. I just want to make a few announcements real quick before I go ahead and shut this podcast off. It's a shorter one, 30 minutes. The one on Thursday is going to be a little bit longer. One thing I did just want to mention real quick is if you guys are on TikTok, if you guys watch TikTok or whatever, if you guys, if you guys browse through TikTok, if you guys want to look up Riley and Company, it's my girlfriend and I, we made a page for our dog called Riley and Company where we post videos of her. It's actually doing pretty well. I don't know what it takes. I don't know. Let me pull up the stats here. I don't know when you become TikTok famous. I think it's like you got to have really high numbers because it's not that difficult to go viral on TikTok. But we have 3 posts so far, probably like 4 or 5 since now that you're watching this. 1,000 views, 600 views, and almost 2,000 views. It's called Riley and Company. It's got like 908 likes. So if you guys want to go there, check it out, follow, do your thing. I have a lot of ideas with it, like clothing and stuff like that, in the future. But it's just like a fun little project that we're working on right now. I start school next week, so I should be able to stay on the same track for episodes going up every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. YouTube, 6 a.m. Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Apple, Amazon Music, and all that. But there might be times, weeks where I miss an episode or I upload it on a different day, so I can still get 2 episodes up a week to you. There might even be times where, sorry, it's a bang and a drink. Upload an extra episode a week because I might miss a week. But it's just with school, it's gonna be hard to balance school with work, and the podcast. Just like 3 things that take up a lot of time. Podcast is fun, makes me a little bit of money. Job I need to pay for school. School I need to pay for me in the future. So it's just like I have my hands on a lot of things right now. So just be patient with me. I'm going to continue try my hardest to keep up to date with everything. If I miss anything for whatever reason, just go ahead and check it out on Instagram, Mike R Labs, or go ahead and follow us on TikTok. And also some of the episodes may not be as long as other episodes just because of that reason, honestly, because of that. But I will do my best, and I love what I do, and I love that you guys support this episode. But that's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and retire right now. I'm going to catch you guys in episode 160 of The Michael Lab Show, which is kind of insane that we've made it that far. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys in episode 160 of The Michael Lab Show. Peace out. See ya. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.